things things happened in a certain way that I was not willing to accept. And because it happened that way, I decided that I was gonna show them and I was gonna leave. And that was probably one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made. Because well, if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be here. So maybe it's not a big mistake. But right now, before we see what the next chapter tells, right now it looks like it's been a pretty bad mistake. I lost my creative outlet. I've become much more introverted. I don't like big crowds. I don't like being the center of attention. These are very big, important things that I kind of need to be okay with if I expect to do anything in the industry. And so it's, we are all products of our environment to a certain degree. I'm not saying we're completely molded by our environment, but I believe that the environment does play a role. And not having a creative outlet and walking away from essentially what I had spent 13 to 15 years building before, it was self-destructive. It was bad. And so I'm excited to I'm excited to start creating again.
And that's the next step.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about the next step?
Well, the next step, one of the contacts that I made through High Springs Community Theater, his name is Millerod. Don't ask me to pronounce his last name because I'll butcher it. He is a part of an independent film studio in Birmingham, Alabama. And there's an actor up there who is a working actor. He's not famous. He's not rich. Doesn't have hordes of groupies following him around, but he's a working actor. He eats and pays his bills doing what he wants to do. That's pretty baller. And I've always said I don't really want to be rich. I don't really need to be rich as long as I can pay my bills, but do what I want to do. And so I'm seeing a potential future version of me. The problem is that he's had about 22 years to build this. So I am starting very late, but I really have yet to fail at anything that I really want to do. So I'm not worried about the failure because I just learned when you're a self-teacher, you're not really concerned about failure. And that's what I did. I self-taught myself everything in this with very few actual guidances. In fact, when I retired from the theater was when I got the most growth in the acting, because that was the first time I ever got an acting coach after I retired from the theater. Now, where in logical sense does, I mean, it makes no sense, but so it's interesting to just kind of see that how the next step develops. And I'm going to go up, I'm going to be a part, I'm going to see if I can hack it. See if I can perform, seeing that I've got a lot of rust on my chains in that regard. But I feel very confident because I've already been a part of one production that they've done, and I was only there for one day, and they pretty much were kind of fumbling all over themselves, saying, "Dude, you clearly know what you're doing. You clearly have been on a film set before. You're a hard worker, like all of these different accolades." And I'm like, I've never been on a film set before. The only reason I was there was because Millerod had asked me to come up and help them and to see if it was anything that I would like to do. And I was there and I was out working everybody. Granted, it was the last day of production, so everyone else was tired. So politically or strategically, it was brilliant because it made me look like I was such a badass, because I come in all fresh and everyone else there is all burnt out and I'm just running circles around everybody. So there's a couple. The irony there is at least worth pointing out. But anyways, that was the number one where they seemed interested in me, which made me go, okay, maybe I still got it. And if I still got it, then let's see what can happen.